Act 3, Scene 1. The trumpets sound, the young Prince Edward, Richard, Buckingham, the Cardinal, Catesby, and others enter. Buckingham. Welcome, sweet Prince, to London, the capital of the King. Richard. Welcome, dear nephew, king of all my thoughts. The tiring journey seems to have made you gloomy. Prince. It wasn't the journey itself, uncle, but the troubles we encountered that made it wearisome and dull. I want more uncles here to welcome me. Richard. Sweet Prince, you're just an innocent child. You don't really understand how capable people are of trickery. All you know is what a man shows you, which has little to do with what he's really thinking. Those uncles that you wish were here were dangerous. Your Grace heard their words, saccharine words, but didn't take note of their poisonous intentions. God protect you from them and from other false friends. Prince. God should keep me from false friends, but they weren't false. Richard. My lord, the mayor of London is here to greet you. The Lord Mayor and his train enter. Lord Mayor. God bless your grace with health and happy days. Prince. Thank you, my good lord. Thank you all. I thought my mother and my brother York would have met us on our way here long before now. And what a slug Hastings is that he hasn't even arrived to tell us whether they're coming. Hastings enters. Buckingham. And just in time, here comes the sweaty lord. Prince. Welcome, my lord. What? Isn't my mother coming? Hastings. God knows why, but your mother and your brother have taken sanctuary in Westminster Abbey. Your sweet brother wanted to come meet you, but his mother wouldn't let him. Buckingham. Damn, what a sneaky and spiteful course your mother is taking. Lord Cardinal, will you please persuade the Queen to hurry and send the Duke of York here? Go with him, Lord Hastings, and if she refuses, take the boy from her by force. Cardinal. My Lord of Buckingham, if my weak skills of persuasion convince his mother to part with the Duke of York, you can expect him here shortly, but if she resists my mild pleas, let God in heaven forbid us from disobeying the holy laws of the sanctuary and taking the child from her. I wouldn't commit so serious a crime for anything. Buckingham. You are too inexplicably stubborn, my lord. Too stuck on ceremony. In these less dainty times, you're not breaking the laws of sanctuary to seize him. It's only a sanctuary for those who really need protection, or those who are smart enough to claim they do. The prince has done neither, therefore, in my opinion, he isn't really protected by sanctuary. You're not breaking any holy laws to take him away. Often I have heard of sanctuary men, but until now, I've never heard of sanctuary children. Cardinal. My lord, you've won me over this time. Lord Hastings, will you go with me? Hastings. I'm coming, my lord. Prince. Go as fast as you can. Cardinal and Hastings exit. Prince continues. Say, Uncle Richard, if my brother comes, where will I stay till my coronation? Richard. Whatever seems best to you. If I can give you some advice, if I were you, I would stay in the tower for a day or two. Then you can stay wherever best suits your health and entertainment needs. Prince. Of all places, I don't like the tower. Didn't Julius Caesar build it, my lord? Side note, Julius Caesar conquered Britain, which then became a part of the Roman Empire. So Buckingham, he started it, my noble lord, and succeeding generations rebuilt it. Prince. Is it on record that he built it, or is it just word of mouth? Buckingham. On record, my gracious lord. Prince. Well, I think that even if it weren't on record, the truth would be remembered from one generation to the next, all the way to doomsday. Richard, to himself. As the saying goes, those that are this wise when they're this young won't live long. Prince. What did you say, uncle? Richard. I said, when there are no written records, a person's fame lasts for a long time. To himself. Like injustice, I get two meanings out of one word. Side note, iniquity or injustice slash wickedness was a common figure in medieval morality plays, which often personified the seven deadly sins. Like Richard, iniquity favors double talk to serve his own wicked purposes. The prince now. That Julius Caesar was a famous man. His courage helped his cleverness, and his cleverness made sure that his reputation for being courageous outlived him. Death didn't conquer this conqueror, for he lives on in his fame, even though he's dead. I'll tell you what, my cousin Buckingham. Buckingham. What, my dear lord? The prince. If I live to be a man, I'll win France again, or die a soldier, as honorably as I lived as a king. To himself. As the saying goes, short summers often have an early spring. This smarty pants won't live long. So there's a side note. In the Hundred Years' War, 1337 through 1453, the English invaded France in an attempt to make good on hereditary claims to the French throne. So anyway, it says, young York, Hastings, and the Cardinal enter. Buckingham, making good time, here's the Duke of York. Prince, Richard of York, how are you doing, my loving brother? York, very well, my supreme lord. That's what I have to call you now. Supreme lord. Prince, yes, brother, I feel bad about that too. The man who might have kept that title died too soon, and now isn't worth nearly as much. Now it isn't worth nearly as much. Richard, how's my nephew doing, noble Lord of York? York, thank you for asking, uncle. Oh, my lord, you once said that lazy weeds grow fast. The prince has far outgrown me. Richard, he has, my lord. York, does that mean he's lazy? Richard, oh, my handsome nephew, I must not say that. York, in that case, he's more obliged to you than I am. Richard, he may command me as my king, but you still have power over me as a relative. York, uncle, please give me your dagger. Richard, my dagger, little nephew, with all my heart. Prince, are you begging, brother? York, from my kind uncle, who I know will give it to me, especially as it's not worth much. Richard, I'll give you a greater gift than that, nephew. York, a greater gift? That must mean a sword. Richard, yes, gentle cousin, if it were light enough for you. York, oh, I see. You will only part with lightweight presents. For more important things, you'll say no. He's a little boy, huh? Richard, a sword's too heavy for you to wear. York, I wouldn't think much of it even if it were heavier. Richard, what? Do you want to wear my weapon, little lord? York, I do, so I can thank you for what you called me. Richard, what's that? York, little. Prince, the Lord of York is always a bit perverse in his chatter, but, uncle, you know how to bear with him. York, you mean bear with me, not to bear with me. No, you mean to bear me, not to bear with me. Uncle, my brother makes fun of both of us because I'm little like an ape. He thinks you should bear me on your shoulders like a fool. Side note, professional jesters often carried apes on their shoulders. York may also be suggesting that Richard's humpback would provide a perfect spot for an ape to perch. So Buckingham, to himself, what a sharp mind this boy has. To make up for his scorn toward his uncle, he makes fun of himself as well. It's amazing that he's so cunning at his age. Richard, to Prince, my lord, will you please continue on your way to the Tower? My good cousin Buckingham and I will go to your mother and ask her to meet you there. York, to Prince, what? You're going to the Tower, my lord? Prince, my protector Richard insists on it. York, I can't sleep quietly in the Tower. Richard, why? What are you afraid of? York, my Uncle Clarence's angry ghost. My grandmother told me he was murdered there. Prince, I'm not afraid of dead uncles. Richard, nor living ones, I hope. Prince, well, I hope not, to York. But come, my lord, with a heavy heart, thinking about my dead uncles, I will go to the Tower. A trumpet sounds, everyone except Richard, Buckingham, and Catesby exits. Buckingham, Richard, don't you think this chattering little York was encouraged to taunt you by his sneaky mother in that outrageous way? Buckingham, no doubt, no doubt. Oh, he's a dangerously clever boy, bold, quick-witted, capable. He's his mother's child from head to toe. Buckingham, well, enough about them. Come here, Catesby. You've sworn to participate in our plot and to keep it a secret. What do you think? Wouldn't it be easy to convince Lord Hastings to join us in installing Richard as King of England? Catesby, Hastings loved the prince's father so much that we won't be able to persuade him to do anything against the prince. Buckingham, what about Stanley? Won't he join us? Catesby, he'll do whatever Hastings does. Buckingham, okay, just do this, noble Catesby. Sound out Lord Hastings, but make it seem as if you're just mulling over the idea, that it hasn't been firmed up yet. Invite him to come to the Tower tomorrow for the coronation ceremony. If he seems game to our plan, encourage him to join us and explain all our reasons. But if he's resistant and chilly, then be like that too and break off the conversation. Let us know how he responds. Tomorrow we're going to hold 2 separate meetings, one for those who are with us and one for those who aren't. You'll have a lot to do in these meetings. Richard, give my regards to Hastings, Catesby. Tell him the nest of dangerous enemies that plagued him for years will die tomorrow at Pomfret. And tell him to give Mistress Shore one extra kiss to celebrate this good news. Side note, after King Edward died, Mistress Shore became Hastings' mistress. Buckingham. Good Catesby, do your work well. Catesby, my good lords, I plan to. Richard, we will hear from you before bedtime. Right, like he's asking. We will hear from you before bedtime, Catesby. Catesby, you will, my lord. Richard, you'll find us both at Richard, you'll find us both at Crosby Place. Catesby exits. Buckingham, now, my lord, what are we going to do if we find that Lord Hastings won't go along with our plans? Richard, chop off his head, whatever we decide to do, and when I'm king, remember to ask me for the earldom of Hereford and all the possessions that go with it, which my brother the king used to own. Buckingham, I look forward to that present. Richard, you'll find I'll give it to you very willingly. Come, let's have an early dinner so that we have time to work out our plans. They exit. So Richard and Buckingham are on each other's side, but now they're trying to get um, they're trying to get Hastings on their side too, even Catesby. So they're gonna kill the prince, I think. Anyway, that was the end of Act 3, Scene 1. Peace.